VIDIZMO offers organizations robust authentication and authorization processes to ensure the highest level of security, with high flexibility of SSO integration with several identity providers, including Azure Active Directory. VIDIZMO allows you to utilize your Azure Active Directory for facilitating your portal users with single sign-on (SSO) capabilities. VIDIZMO makes the integration as easy as enabling or disabling your Active Directory SSO from within the platform in minutes. Let's look at setting up single sign-on using Azure Active Directory. Single sign-on SSO is a user authentication process that allows your users to sign in to multiple applications using the same set of login credentials. This allows ease of use for the end users and ease of management for administrators. In your Azure subscription, your account must have the owner role or user access administrator role. If your account is assigned the contributor role, you don't have adequate permission. For SSO configuration, you need to have an existing Azure Active Directory. In case you do not have one, you need to create an application in your Azure AD. Click on App Registrations in the Active Directory you have created. Navigate to New Registration and you will be redirected to a new page. Name your application and select Single Tenant from the supported account types. By the way, this name can be changed later. The sign-on URL required for app registration in Azure Portal is your organization's VIDIZMO domain. For the application to work, this domain needs to be set to HTTPS. Select App under App Registrations from the Azure Active Directory and follow the steps from the link stated on the screen. Enter a redirect URI where Azure AD will redirect you after user sign-in is done. This URL would be your VIDIZMO portal URL with SSO sign-in Azure AD concatenated to it. Once you're done, click on Register to proceed. Now, navigate to Authentication from the app you just created and enable ID tokens in your Azure portal. Next, you need to navigate to Certificates and Secrets to generate a new client secret key and save this key for later use. Navigate back to Overview and copy the client ID for later use. Once you have the resources required to configure Azure Active Directory SSO in your VIDIZMO portal, you need to perform few steps to configure Azure in VIDIZMO portal. From the portal's homepage, click on the navigation menu on the top left corner and select Portal Settings under Admin. From the Portal Settings page, expand the Apps tab on the left-hand panel and click on Single Sign-On. Locate the Azure AD app on the screen and click on the Settings icon at the right-hand side and a new window will appear. Paste your application ID in the Client ID text box and paste the key in the Client Secret text box. The client secret is used for accessing groups in your identity provider IDP. Next, replace directory ID in the URL mentioned on the screen by Azure AD Directory ID and paste it in the authority text box. Select the Requires HTTP Metadata checkbox to ensure HTTPS is required to get the metadata. When the request is handled for the first time, it tries to retrieve the metadata from the authorization server. This metadata, or discovery document in OpenID Connect terminology, contains the public keys and other details needed to validate tokens. You can enable Force Login to make sure users can sign in when VIDIZMO sign-in has been turned off. Callbackpath specifies the callback location where the authorization will be sent to your portal. In the Scope section, OpenID Connect uses scope values to specify what access privileges are being requested from the Azure AD authorization server. They determine the scope of the access request being made. You need to include the scopes while authentication. OpenID is one of the basic scopes that define the intent of the application to verify the identity of the user. profile is a scope value that defines the request to access a user's default profile attributes or claims such as name, gender, picture, etc. User.read grants permission to access the complete profile of the user, which helps in complete attribute mapping. Directory.read.all is used to grant access to the organization's directory, which helps define groups in VIDIZMO that map onto organizational units to streamline content management within the portal. Response type specifies the response type for OIDC authentication. Any combination of code, token, ID_token is used and is an opaque value that can be used to redeem tokens from the token endpoint. Select Save Tokens to save the tokens. You need to save tokens to be able to map users to their organizational units. Attribute mapping allows you to map your attributes with the IDP's attributes. Once you're done, click on Save Changes and a notification will appear stating, Portal information updated successfully. Now toggle the gear button at the right side of Azure Active Directory to enable Azure AD Single Sign-On. Navigate to the portal's login screen and you can see the option to log in with Azure Active Directory. Well, that's all for this video. Check out some of our other guides to learn more about VIDIZMO. Stay tuned until next time.